Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Coriolis rules by Free League Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. Strong language, powerful factions, and adventures across the third horizon await. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your storyteller. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am your storyteller, Michael Diamond. My pronouns are he, him, and we are back with another episode of Children of the Periphery, our Coriolis Chronicle. As we always like to do, we'd like to thank you, the listener, and especially you, the Patreon supporter. If you've not had a chance to check out what we offer, you can at patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast. Jump over onto YouTube and get involved on all of our different visual enticements there. Soon to be adding many more. And now we'll begin with our crew introductions. To my right.
This is Morgan. I play Captain Amara Castra. Our pronouns are she, her, and we are headed to do a little digging.
Finally, and perhaps, Captain, find out something behind the mysterious disappearance of your parents.
Yes.
Next to Captain Amara Castra.
Hi, this is Allie, and I play Kainat Gala. Both of our pronouns are she, her. I got to blow stuff up, and now I get to dig.
Yeah. It's going to be a full few days for you, I'm sure. At the end of the table.
Hi, this is John. I'll be playing Fida, the ship's mechanic, and we both use the pronouns he, him. And I won't lie, I'm hurting. Not just physically, but also emotionally. I'm not super happy about that last planet.
Yeah, definitely a different space.
I think it's going to have maybe some effects. Might want to spend some time with the tree.
I could see that. You know, luckily the ship does have an arboretum for all of your emotional needs.
Hi, this is Rena. I play Tamara Scanvari, our ship's courtesan. Our pronouns are they, them. And I'm just happy I didn't get stabbed.
Fantastic. And last but certainly not least.
Hello, I am Rosie of Odd Duck Dice, she, her, playing Icarus, also she, her, who is the pilot of our crew, who did not get stabbed, but also did not drift off into space. So that's a win.
Yeah, your first spacewalk was memorable, I would say. Memorable. And now you have experience walking through Zero G. Probably not likely to do that again anytime soon, if you can help it. So we're going to peek in and open our camera lens here at the medical bay, or what serves as the medical bay and science bay, because really there's only so much space on this fancy ship. But we look in to see Fida laying back on a table, probably gingerly just moving to one side as his body is being scanned by the overhead machines here. Fida, unfortunately, last episode was, we'll just say, punctured, perforated, prodded, whichever P word you decide. And he's dealing with those wounds. Who amongst the crew has the metacurgy skill?
I think Fida is the only member.
Okay, so it does appear, anyway, that Icarus has metacurgy as well.
Well, good.
So if Icarus doesn't mind, I'm going to place her in this room with Fida, because Fida needs medical attention. That med lab is really the best place for it, the most sanitary place for it. It also has all the tools. And Rakam is busily scanning the different portions of Fida's wounds, trying to get an assessment. This, of course, comes as Fida is forced to deal with a artificially intelligent doctor, or an artificially intelligent life form, brain pattern, hard to say, who has put on a medical hat. The devices whir a few times, and Icarus, you hear Rakam's voice, even and steady, say, "He's been wounded fairly badly."
I think we're all aware of that, yeah.
Very well. How would you like to proceed?
Oh, well, I mean, we hatch him up because, like, most of my medical experience has to do with, like, duct tape and sutures. So I'm gonna just I'm here to assist you. Let's go with that.
Oh, very well. You see a couple of appendages drop from the ceiling, and suddenly they grow multiple limbs, like they become bifurcated and trifurcated as all sorts of different tools blossom. Now, if you would please, Fida, stay very still.
I don't know if you have experience with this, but do we have any anesthetic on board?
Oh, certainly. I had planned on applying anesthetic if you will just give me a moment. There's a nozzle that drops out of one of these arms and it begins coating, we'll just say very liberally, the wounds that you have, Fida. It feels good after you get past the cold, because of course it's pressurized and it's kept at temperature. And that is cold.
On first spray, Fida makes a noise that's not very dignified, but can be best described as "Ooh!"
You then get stuck several times. So there's another limb that has what looks like a long prong attached to it, and it sticks in certain areas of his side. You got stabbed in the back too, eh?
And one of them broke my arm.
So it goes up his back and then eventually to the shoulder blade where it prods 2 or 3 times, and it is breaking the skin and going in. It's very thin. It's not something that you don't feel, of course, Fida, because the antiseptic and the spray material isn't exactly in those areas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very effective where it has hit. I don't want to give the machine the dignity of this, but I need its help, and I'm just going to try and keep my whimpers to slightly muffled rather than crying out in pain. So it's just going to be stuff like...
Okay, so if you would, Icarus, as you assist Rakam, and you can sort of give us your own narrative flair for how you'll assist the multi-appendaged device in this room, you can make a metacurgy roll, and that roll will help. Any net successes that you get from it will help Rakam with his first medical experience.
2 successes.
Very good. Okay, so I'm going to make a metacurgy roll for the ship using Rakam's skill and the bonus that you are in a med lab. And then, if the roll is successful, the remaining recovery time is reduced by half. So that is super helpful. Okay. So you get prodded over and you get injected with some fluids, especially at the shoulder and at the elbow. And as the fluids go in, the pain from the broken part of your arm begins to subside. And you can feel a deep and sort of immediate itching sensation at your shoulder point here and then at the elbow. And you are really starting to regret being in this chair. Your sides and back from the wounds get sewn up by something that moves exceedingly fast, and you can feel much like a holiday bird. You probably seem a little sewed up at this point.
The handy thing about these things is that it's so quick, you can't feel each stab of the needle. You just feel the overall throb at the end.
Yep. So let's see here. Let's get you some healing time rolled. And then because you've been in a med lab, it'll be halved, which is nice.
Yeah. It'll be nice to have an arm back soon and to not have these deep lacerations in my flesh.
That's pretty good. So 3d6 is normally the healing time for a broken arm. I have rolled a 5. That will get halved. And we'll go ahead and round down. So the healing time for that, with Rakam's help. Ooh, fun. 2. So how many hit points of damage did you take, John?
I took 6
Okay.
out of 7.
So I'm going to say, because this is science fiction, the normal healing time on this with the properly applied advances in science is 3d6 hours.
Oh.
So we're sort of borrowing from some of the more advanced science fiction. And I've rolled that. And so we'll say that within a few hours, Rakam tells you, you should have some motion left returned to the arm.
That's great. Thank you, Rakam. I appreciate it.
You see, there are advantages to having someone that can fill in any position on the ship.
There are. But it's very hard to trust someone who shows up and says they can do everything. Something sounds too good to be true. Are you familiar with the other half of the phrase? I don't know if that's something you know.
It probably is.
Mm-hmm. Nothing personal, just,
It's interesting. I think it's a good point. Have you ever considered that maybe you fall into that too? I mean, why would someone who has probably hundreds of millions of Burr at their disposal hand you a modified military vessel to go to the middle of nowhere?
That is something I have been wondering myself, my friend. Do you want my honest answer for this one, Rakam? Icarus, do you have any thoughts on this?
I have very few thoughts about a lot of things.
He gives you a look that just says, that must be nice. He's like, Rakam, what I think is we are being sent for something worth more than us, including you, including the ship. Erasing my not inconsiderable debt would be a price that she's willing to pay for that as our patron. So I would say it's something very high risk, very high reward. Does that follow, do you think?
I tend to think so.
Look, I've been thinking about it when I was down on that planet. I gave you a really hard time. When you guys came down to save us, I cannot tell you how happy I was to see this ship break Atmo.
No, most of the credit goes to your fellow crew member.
Oh, I was about to say, actually, I wouldn't have thought to do any of that if Rakam hadn't mentioned that we should probably try to fix comms. So you should definitely be thanking Rakam for you being alive.
I'm thanking you both. So thank you. I also owe the captain for keeping me alive, and Kainat. Tamarisk, they're nice.
Tamarisk is very nice and wise.
I'm probably going to talk to them some after we're done.
They could teach you to dance. They're an exceptional dancer.
Rakam, have you ever tried something and not been good at it? Like something that you felt like you were not designed to be able to do?
Oh, yes. Metacurgy.
He's just like, listen, don't even joke. You did a pretty good job, but God, it hurts. When I was a teenager, back when I was back on Coriolis, there was a girl trying to teach me to dance. I can only tell you, I'm not made to dance.
How many of her toes did you break?
It's best not to mention. I wasn't wearing my boots. But, yeah, I was not an elegant, composed creature like she was, so... oh.
It might best be to best not to laugh.
Yeah, do my best. I'll make an effort.
We're approaching the portal zone to Menkar.
Okay.
Can one of the two of you give me a shout when we're going into cryo? I'm just going to try and rest a little.
Yeah, do you want help getting to the tubes?
No, I'll be fine.
Okay, I'll come back down to help you get there once I'm sure everything is set.
That's not what I said, but okay. I'm too sore to argue. Thank you both very much. Things would have gone very badly for me if you guys didn't show up, so... The left hand comes up and just gives a little thumb up. It's like, thanks.
Rakam returns it with a multi-appendaged thumb from several different descended medical devices.
You know, that's not as comforting as you might think. I'm just gonna say, when they all do it at the same time, it's a little unsettling.
They raise back up into the ceiling.
Rakam, let's talk more later, okay? I want to figure out some stuff for working together rather than against each other.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, I'm kind of tired of you having constantly rewriting my plans.
Well, I think I know Rakam is tired of, and I'm going to say it because Rakam's talked to me about it, and I don't know how Rakam feels about talking to you about it, but he's really tired of you trying to disassemble him.
This may not be the best location for this conversation.
No, that's all right. That is a fair point. Rakam, I promise that I won't disassemble you, though I may ask you to voluntarily retreat from some systems on occasion. Does that sound fair?
It's a fair inquiry.
Give it some thought. I'm sure you've given it a couple of cycles now.
I have. We should talk later about it. Perhaps the captain and I and you could come to an understanding.
Yeah, well look, we're going to be on Menkar for a while, so you and I will have some time to chat, to hash things out. I'm going to just get a nap in, just real quick.
Wonderful.
He just kind of starts falling asleep in the chair.
It's not hard. It's not hard to pass out in the chair.
Turns out, getting stabbed and cut and broken will make you sleepy.
So, Captain, on the bridge, you're noticing a few things come in from some of the data feeds around the portal space to Menkar. One of them is a little surprising, and that is how empty this portion of space is near the portal. There are no other ships. The portal station here is a little quiet. Unlike some of the other jumps, it's not broadcasting any general messages. It's not doing anything other than really just heartbeating a signal out so people know that it's there.
Yeah, it's supposed to be pretty quiet out here. I'll reach out to the portal master.
Okay, you reach out to the portal master. There's a long pause. A amazing amount of time goes by comparison. So probably 30 seconds. And then eventually you get a automated message from the portal station that says on a repeat for probably the first 5 or 10 seconds that the portal operation staff will be with you shortly. Please prepare yourself in alignment with the following coordinates, and when available, the portal station will be with you.
Are they out to lunch? What? Okay. Well, seeing as Icarus is nowhere to be found, we can line the ship up.
Yeah, I mean, you have to get to the navigational station to do the hard portion navigation, and you sit down and you see on the view screen there just this immediate sort of repeating message that's coming in, and a voice through the speaker on that station greets you, and you hear Rakam say, "Good day, Captain. Is there an issue? Is there a problem I can assist you with?"
Yes, Rakam. We received an automated message from the portal station to Menkar, and they're asking us to line up using these coordinates. Are you able to do that for me, please?
Yes, this is certainly. I'm just dealing with a small surgical matter with Fida. I'm certain that it won't be a problem.
Is Fida okay?
Oh, he's just fine. You feel the ship move. This won't take too terribly long.
Are you okay to multitask while you're trying to fix Fida?
I am. Tamarisk, in your quarters, the ship moves a little abruptly, and some of your accoutrements shift a little. Like, oh, wait, no, that's my incense burner. No, oh my gosh, this is my... So you're flailing a little bit, moving around your room, trying to keep all of the things intact.
Which is a surprise because everything is normally so smooth on this ship.
You get close to the position. You see yourself on the navigational plan begin to line up to it. It is certainly not as smooth of a ride as your pilot gives you.
While we're we're waiting for whomever is eating lunch at the portal station, I will pull up the mission briefing.
Yeah, so the briefing gives you a very short and succinct plan. It gives you coordinates. So, in summation, you have been hired and charged with going to Menkar and getting into the depths of one of these former civilization, potentially portal builder civilization vaults, and retrieving some important data that would exist within those systems. You're given a clear line of potential threats to look out for. That includes anything from other archaeological teams to pirates to what the document terms as locals, or in effect, abhumans, they call them. So these are humans who have lived on Menkar long enough that they have aberrated a little bit. And so they don't always completely line up with what you would notice as 100% human. And that could be anything from slight facial feature changes, different sort of ways their bodies exchange energy. There's all sorts of stuff that happens at the edge of space based off of radiation. And so it's suggested that you go in what are essentially suits to keep yourself away from the star's raised radiation levels. But yeah, you have coordinates that you'll go to on the planet. The instructions are pretty simplistic. Probably a little too simplistic for you, Captain. There's not a lot here. So this feels like it was created from like a third-party reconnaissance report, because they don't list anybody else being involved. And you're fairly aware that there are probably 2 or 3 different scientific teams that rest on Menkar full-time.
I note all that information down, particularly the individuals that might be less than welcoming or friendly while we are looking for this vault or a vault. I will make an announcement over the ship's comms. Everybody, we are going to be preparing to jump through the portal as soon as the portal station master gets back from their bathroom break, and we will then be taking a slight nap in stasis, and then we will be at Menkar. Please prepare accordingly.
Okay. So how is the crew preparing for its cryo jump?
I'm sleeping in the med bay. I wasn't kidding.
So I'd be going to temple to pray.
Mm-hmm.
I would have changed into my appropriate Batwing traveling comfortable clothing. I am in front of the traveler. I am praying before I go over to the cryotube to get comfy, for lack of a better term.
Okay, Tamarisk, how are we doing this?
Putting some things away just in case there's another one of those stops and starts. Don't want to come back to a messy room. And then I think I would also make a prayer to the messenger. Go to the shrine of the messenger and make a prayer, because that was a scary situation that we were in. Thank the messenger for bringing us through, and make my prayers before I go to sleep.
Okay. So I have a feeling that Icarus is going to probably help out Fida get to the cryotubes. I'd like to know how that happens.
Is he asleep when she gets there?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. All right. Do we have a cart or something like that?
Yeah, you have a maintenance cart for sure.
Great. I ask Rakam to help me get him on the cart, and then I commence pushing it to the tubes, because I'm assuming she wouldn't be able to wake him up, and even if she could, probably couldn't really walk right now.
Yeah, I think what you basically have is sort of a sleeping bear situation here.
Oh, I was thinking a big old sack of rocks.
Yeah, that too.
She is going to leave him wearing his clothes. She's not going to help him get into his magic underwear and dump him in the tube as best she can.
Yeah. It's a struggle. You probably struggle getting him upright, because remember that tube is sort of clamshell as it closes. And so you essentially stand in the tube and lay back because it's kind of at a 45 or 60 degree angle. And then it closes up eventually. So you do some real work to get Fida in place.
I imagine there's a moment where she's like, okay. Then she kind of falls into it with him and sort of has to get herself out from underneath part of him and is like, okay, wow, you're a big guy. Okay. And then she pulls herself out of the pod and gets him situated probably. Oh, if he's wearing shoes, she does take his shoes off. And then she sort of moves probably towards her room now to get herself ready.
And so what sort of preparations are you making then, Icarus, for yourself?
Well, she gets into her white boxers and shirt, or shorts and shirt, whatever, and says a little prayer to the Lady of Tar, asking for mercy on our journey and that the fire of our souls remain intact through the cold journey of space, and that there be mercy for all of them at the end of it. And then she says goodnight to Rakam and gets in her tube.
Fair enough. Captain, you're probably the last off the bridge.
I am. I will go and change into my cryo wear, tank top and shorts. And then I will take a photo of myself with my family. And I will go to the temple and find the statue honoring the Lady of Tears. And I will pray to her, offering my photo as, sacrifice to help bring some closure to what might have happened to my parents on Menkar, and a safe journey for us, and hopefully bring them some peace wherever they might be as well.
Okay. You get into the tube.
I do.
Once all of the crew are prepared, which sort of you're about 90% there. You're not so sure about Fida's position for this cryo experience, but there's really only so much one can do. The clamshell begins to close.
Oh, storyteller.
Yep.
Did I ever hear back from the portal authority?
We haven't yet.
Should I run back to the bridge and go see what's going on?
You could always stop the cryo process.
Yeah, I hit the stop button that's on the inside. And I jump out going, shit, like, running over to the bridge.
Everything okay, Cap?
We got a little ahead of ourselves. We hadn't heard from the portal authority yet about whether we're good to go.
Oh, okay then.
It's okay. Just keep on what you're doing, Icarus. I'll go deal with that.
I mean, I'm just kind of standing here so I can help you if you need help.
You get back and there's a secondary automated message, and it seems a little different from the first. And it says, please acknowledge this communication for the alignment process.
I hit the acknowledgement button.
You hit the acknowledgement button, and Rakam's voice comes over the intercom, and you hear him say, okay, we're being moved into a slightly different position for this jump, but it looks like the portal station's going to activate.
How many seconds do I have?
By my estimation, about 30.
Oh, I start running for the cryo bay.
Okay. You run through the passageways of this ship until you get to the cryo bay, and you leap into your tube and you secure what you need to secure. And the thing that keeps sort of running through your head, Captain, is it'll be a moment, and then we'll be there. And I finally get some answers. The clamshell shuts. The signals and the alarms go off in that room, and you feel the flash coldness, that cold that comes with the liquid in the cryotubes as you're immersed in the coolant. And the flash happens, where you lose consciousness. And there's a moment and a heartbeat, and you can feel your brain bouncing around like you're still awake. It's not right, Tamarisk. You're awake. You're frozen. You're conscious. Something in your perceptions from far off screams. It sounds like the scream of someone you've heard before, their voice. Normally calm, collected, powerful, even one might say dominant. This voice, this feminine voice, suddenly shrieking in absolute terror. You all feel the stretch of time, like a bit of bubble gum. You're stretched there in this loop. You should have woken up by now. You should have. But you haven't. You can't bring words out. Some of you try to move your mouths, but they don't operate. Something tingles inside your bodies, like an itch you can't scratch. Fear grows there, in the pit of your stomach. Just as it's about to race its way up your esophagus, you hear an alarm. You get that first full intake breath, and you can feel the flood of warm liquid over the cryotube, unsealing those gaps and spaces, allowing your limbs to move. Consciousness, full consciousness, rushes back in and hits you like a frying pan over the head. The clamshell is open. Fida, you are 110% awake now. Too awake.
There's a lot of adrenaline in my body now. It's not ideal.
You're all sort of staring across one another in the cryotubes. You would all notice from each other first, any exposed flesh is a little red, almost like someone's flush, or you've been on a jog.
Oh, good. So just my face then.
And then I would like everyone, except for Fida, to make a wits observation roll. And that'll be at, this is a 3 success required roll.
I only got 1.
I got 2.
Only 1 as well.
Nope.
Okay. So, none of you get it. Totally okay. I'm sure. Sure, everything is fine.
No, it's never fine.
The ship drifts. You're the first one, Icarus, to feel the drift.
That's not good. That's not right. And she's running up towards the navigation system as fast as she can, because we should not just be drifting.
You get to the bridge, and your navigational control board is been replaced by what looks like a disco light machine. Nothing is properly reporting. Lights are going off. The display isn't functional. You're looking around at other control systems here on the bridge, and they don't appear to be functioning correct either.
Rakam?
You get no answer.
Shit. She sits down at the navigation system and engages the internal comms and says, I'm gonna need Captain, something's really wrong up here. Fida, you're gonna need to, you're gonna be busy. Something got fucked. Hard.
That message comes through in the clamshell in bits and fits and starts. So there is a garbled communication from Icarus. You know it's Icarus because you're familiar with her voice, but it is almost like the cell phones that go in and out of connection.
Yep, I go running up to the bridge.
I grab my booties and I run up barefoot. Probably shouldn't call them booties. They're very heavy shit kickers, but you know.
Yeah, either way. Those of you going to the bridge find it in a state of electronic disarray.
Rakam's not answering. I don't know what happened.
Mike, Can I give you a wits technology roll to try and figure out what the hell is going on?
Yeah, seems fair.
I thought it was reasonable. All right. 2 successes.
Oh, okay. So you overcome the complication on the roll of it being sort of multiple stations. This is actually less concerning once you get into it. You begin to get a readout from some of the internal electronic sensors, and what it looks like happened is you got hit. You got hit by a massive wave of an electrical field, and it likely just confused the shit out of every sensor on board. And what you need to do is just do a simple and easy power down and reset of those systems.
All I know is that it's going to be pretty simple, but that everyone's going to have to remain calm, and he's going to need someone else to handle 1 or 2 button pushes while he does this. So he spins around and he's just, okay, Cap, Icarus, we need to reboot the ship. Something hit us, probably maybe some kind of radiation blast, I don't know, but we need to reboot the ship. Icarus, I know you're worried about Rakam. This is to help him. I'm not going to try and hurt him, I promise.
Okay, what do you need me to do?
You're going to need to keep an eye on this interface here. Have you ever gone through a ship startup before? Bring systems back online?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You're going to have to do that. I'm going to have to go down and completely power everything down. This might include the life support.
How long are we going to be at nothing?
Moments. The ship should have enough air in it that we should be okay.
How long will it take to fully reboot the ship?
Based on when we were back when we first took her on, not long. It should be pretty quick, but it does have to be done properly.
So should we all put on suits?
If you got them. Also, don't smoke. That would be a very bad idea.
Okay, since it sounds like our comm system is not working properly, I will go around and let Kainat and Tamarisk know that we are going to reboot the ship.
And look, the stuff I said might happen. Edge case. Very unlikely.
Yes, I've never been hit by an electrical field in a portal before, so better be safe than sorry. And then I will do a look around the ship to see if there's anything else going on as well.
So to tell you what, Captain, give me 3 things that you're looking at specifically.
Well, it just doesn't feel right. Having never experienced, I know Menkar is known for having certain like energy fields and whatnot in the area. It still doesn't feel right. And Rakam's offline, which makes sense.
Okay. Right, but you said you're going to look around. So what are you looking at?
We don't know how long we were out for, and all the other things that went on while I was out.
Mm-hmm.
Did we all? Well, just for point of clarification, is Tamarisk the only one that heard the screaming, or did we all hear the screaming?
No, Tamarisk is the only one that heard the screaming.
Okay, just making sure. My gut feeling feels like there's something else going on the ship outside of some electrical field. So I want to go see if there's anything messed with by somebody that wasn't us.
Okay, I'm with you. Where?
Let's start with the cargo bay.
Okay. The cargo bay appears to be intact. All of the things that you carried on board, foodstuffs, etc., still packed in the containers it needs to be. There's probably some dust left from all of the ore transportation. It looks like the black box that's strapped to the back of the cargo bay is still there. There's nothing amiss about that.
And our smuggler's hideaway is in the cargo bay as well, or is it elsewhere?
It's nearby.
I want to check that as well.
Okay.
Is there anything in there?
Totally empty, as far as I'm aware.
I just have this really uneasy feeling, but nobody else was on the bridge. Nobody else was in the cryo bay. I'm going to then go find Tamarisk and Kainat and let them know that we will be rebooting the ship, and it might behoove them to put on one of their suits. Because while Fida says it'd only be a second, it might not be only a second. Also, on my way to go find Tamarisk, I will check out the garden.
I mean, it looks nice. It looks... I'm happy to give you a wits observation roll.
I knew you would be, so I'm going to do it.
I'm going to say that this is a 3 success required observation roll.
So I thought there was a way that I can give you a darkness point, right? If I want to re-roll anything?
Yeah, there is. So you can totally give me darkness points. You can re-roll failures that come up in your roll.
I've got 2 successes so far.
Okay.
So I'm going to re-roll my 3. All right, I have 2 more successes. So I got 4.
So you take a couple minutes in the Arboretum as you walk through it, and it's a little ghostly in here. Really, any forest or green space that has soft playing music normally, which now doesn't, because of course that system's seemingly affected. You're just in a green space. There's no wind. There's no additional environmentals. And as you look around here, it does appear like some of the plants which would flower, have done so recently. But you don't remember them doing that. You find tiny little yellow petals on the ground from a plant that has bloomed, blossomed, and passed.
And I probably wouldn't know how long it takes for that to bloom and then wither away.
If you have like a related botany skill, certainly.
I do not.
Okay, then no. I want to presume that you're an arborist, like immediately, Captain.
I am not. Flowers are not my jam.
Well, no. But yeah, you do find petals on the ground, and you do find that strange. You've been through the Arboretum a couple of times since you've been traveling. You don't remember that plant having fully blossomed yet, and now it's like it's on the ground and it's already had its cycle.
Who would have botany? Does anybody have any botany type skills? Would that be Kainat? Anybody get science? Wouldn't science count?
It would.
I mean, I have science. I've got a database. I have survival. I have science.
All right, knowing this, I'm going to go find Kainat.
Okay. She's not terribly hard to find. I would like to give, if you don't mind, Captain, I would like to give both Tamarisk and Kainat an opportunity to do some things on their own.
Before I find them?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'd actually be looking in general at the walls to see if lights are flickering or if there's lights that are just completely out or if there's weird vents that are nearby, if there's something coming out of those that shouldn't be happening. This probably isn't good.
I would say this. Anybody that, as they wake up in the cryo area, would notice that some of the screens here that display information in the cryo screen, they're not displaying correctly. Those are garbled. The lights aren't flickering overhead. It seems more like instrumentation panels are having a problem. It isn't the entire lighting of the ship. So that might affect your opinion one way or the other.
Looking at any of the panels that would have information on it, I can't get any part of a screen, or is it just that it's not clear when I'm tapping on the panel? Is it responsive? And it's just giving me garbled information, or is it basically just flashing and unresponsive to touch?
It's unresponsive to touch.
Okay, then honestly, I'm going to go find Fida, because we just built this giant signal thing down on the planet, and we worked really well together, and since everything's fucking broken from everything being what I can actively see in this room, maybe there's a chance that I can help fix it. No guarantees, but maybe that's a thing.
Okay, Tamarisk?
So, did I recognize the voice of who was screaming?
Oh, that's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm going to say that you did. The woman behind the scream is Leah Marhoon.
So I think what I'm going to do after I hurriedly get dressed, because I'm not much used to anybody in my current state, is I'm going to go to the icons and I'm going to pray for her, because I've got a strange feeling hearing the screaming, and I'm also not feeling super great at the moment. That was a terrifying experience, but I'm going to specifically say a prayer for her as our patron.
You step into the chapel. Upon stepping into the chapel, you see all of the icon stations have been collapsed. It's as if the icons have fallen off those pedestals or their placements, and the imagery lays face down on the floor. And you come into a perfectly circular grouping of icons with their faces in the floor.
Nope, don't like that. So I'm going to return them to their alcoves first thing, starting with the messenger. But I'll return all of them.
It takes a little time. Some of the icons are a little heavier than others, and you have to work through the business, really, of properly preparing a altar site. Whether or not you care for one icon or the other, all of you would have grown up with some understanding of reverence when it came to them. And so you don't really feel better until that last one is properly in its place. The one which does not carry a face.
I'm muttering a prayer the entire time, just something I would have been taught to do as part of revering the icons as you put them in their alcoves. This is deeply unsettling, and if anyone was around, they would just see a very anxious and upset-looking Tamarisk. But luckily, no one's around to see this.
Yeah, it does take you probably more than a few minutes to compose yourself. Really, even standing in the way is a frightening moment. But you do so. Eventually, get all of them back into position. Kaina, you are able to track down Fida, who is likely in engineering, seemingly trying to prepare the ship to do something. He's flipping a whole lot of switches and going through likely a manual.
Oh, praise the traveler. Hello?
Oh, hello. Did the captain tell you that I'm rebooting the ship?
No, I haven't seen the captain.
Oh, well.
I came down here because there's a fair amount of things that I've noticed that are unusable at the moment.
The good news is I don't think anything's permanently broken. I think it's just... And he kind of looks to the side and looks back at her. He's like, I think it just needs to be reset. After the reset, I think we'll have a much better idea of what the actual physical damage, if any, is to the ship. Yeah, it's a little bit worrisome, but we're going to get through it, and all we have to do is follow the protocol, and it will be fine. There's a plan, don't worry.
Okay. So do you need me to help get into the system?
I need you to handle a bunch of the software stuff up here, while I go down and pull some levers and push some buttons down there. And he points down to the reactor.
Okay. Are we within shouting range of each other?
I think so. I mean, we're having a conversation, aren't we?
Captain, you enter at this point.
Kinda, there you are. I'm looking a little frazzled at this point.
Hello, Captain.
Did Fida tell you that we were going to reboot the ship?
Yes.
Great.
The head pops around from a corner and he's just like, I thought it was pertinent because, she's pretty competent.
Can I borrow her for just a second?
And he shrugs. He's like, I'm still going to be 10 minutes down here. And I'll holler when I'm ready to get working.
Fantastic. Can you come check out the Arboretum with me?
Sure. I'll be back in a minute.
So I just kind of took a walk around the ship to make sure everything was in its rightful place, and there was nothing odd other than the electrical system going wonky.
Okay.
And I happened to notice something odd Arboretum, so I was hoping to get your scientific feedback.
Sure. I mean, I can take a look.
So I show her the yellow flowers. I show Kainat the yellow flowers. So before we went in to cryo, these had not yet bloomed. And now they're dead. Do you know how long that takes?
Not necessarily offhand. I could try to remember. Storyteller, can I try to remember?
Not remember, but you have a data pad that has some information on it. Perhaps it has information on this type of flower. So if you'd like to roll a sciences roll, and then you can add in whatever bonus the lab gives you.
So the data pad wouldn't be messed up from the electrical field?
Mine's a personal one.
That is a good piece of information that you have there, Captain, that you've noticed, that her data pad seems to be working just fine.
Interesting. I just make note of it. We have other shit to worry about.
So I'll go ahead and scan these dead flowers and see if I come up with anything. I have a bunch of dice for this.
That's good.
I have 4 successes.
That's quite a bit. Okay, so it's a critical success. Finding the flower isn't terribly hard, and finding out the information about the flower is relatively quick, so it probably takes a minute or two of going through the scanning process and making sure that you have everything that you need as far as the type of flower. Your information on the data pad suggests that from the time of bloom to essentially wilting, which is what the flower has done, that time period is roughly 14 days.
I'm going to look real confused at my data pad. And I'm actually going to reset it so I can try it again just to make sure that it's working like it's supposed to. And I imagine I get the same information a second time.
You do.
Well, Captain, it appears we have another concern just besides the ship. According to the information I have, for these flowers to be at the state they're in, it's been at least 14 days. Maybe a little longer.
In fact, Kainat, your data pad confirms that, because your data pad has its own time and calendar. And the data pad reads that it is the segment of the dancer. It's incense week. And it's the 9th day, incense week.
And I'm going to stare at that for a long second. I'm going to hold up the data pad to Amara, and yeah, it's been at least 2 weeks. Because with this having its own separate power source, it confirms what the flowers say.
Wonderful.
Tomorrow is a holy day. Tomorrow is the settlement day of the dancer segment. But that's really probably secondary to the burning question of what happened to the last 14 days.
I like it, Kainat. I'm like, we need to get the ship rebooted now.
Kainat and Captain Kazra can take 2 points of mental stress.
Oh, good. That's what everyone wants.
Storyteller, do we get to reduce mental stress at any point?
So you start the game with a pool of mind points equal to your wits plus your empathy. When you are attacked in combat or when someone tries to use manipulation on you, you can suffer stress. I am sort of putting a little addendum to that, which is when stressful things, which would break your mind, are injected into you, you're going to suffer mental stress. But yeah, the 2 of you come to that wonderful realization, and now you can inflict it upon all the rest of the crew, should you so choose.
We should probably go inform Fida.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. And I'm going to make my way back to engineering. And are you coming with, Captain, or do you want to inform the others?
I will inform the others.
Okay. Back down to engineering I go.
Okay, you head back down to engineering and you find Fida.
I've prepped a lot of stuff. We should be mostly ready to go by this point.
Fida, it smells like someone's been in the Arboretum.
Yeah, that's... Did you rub a bay leaf plant?
No, there's just a lot of pollen in the air from flowers that have bloomed and died in the last 14 days when we were asleep.
I'm going to pretend you didn't say that, and I'm going to deal with it later. Right now, I've got a ship to reboot, and I'm not going to lie to you, that might be a bit much to deal with right now.
No, that seems fair.
Yeah, no, totally. Right, let's
get to work.
Yeah.
Okay, so Captain, how are you going to tell your other crew members?
I'll go find Icarus first. Because I have a feeling if anybody is going to maybe get worked up about it, it might be Icarus. We'll see.
I can't wait.
Icarus is on the bridge still?
Yep, she is on the bridge, still in her cryo-wear and monitoring the panels that Fida asked her to. And as she's working on whatever he directed her to, she's also, with the other hand, got her lighter, flipping it open and shut at an ever-increasing pace. So there's a rapid clicking sound, which I'm sure relaxes the entire situation.
Yeah, I'll walk on the bridge and... Icarus, you got a second?
Nothing but time cap for you. What do you find?
Well, I don't want you to be alarmed.
Sits back and looks up at you.
But a little time has passed since we went into cryo. You had a really good nap for the last 14 days, give or take.
I'm still pretty new at this. Is that normal?
No. Hopefully we'll get some more answers when we reboot the ship. It'll be fine. Take a deep breath. Do you need some tea? I can get you some tea.
No. I'm just going to sit here and wait for further instructions.
That is, not a problem. I'm sure Fido will be directing all of us at some point. But if you need to talk, I know it's hard to lose time like that, so...
Have you done it before? Have you lost time before?
No.
How would you know? Don't say these things if you don't, that does not help me.
Yeah, that wasn't helpful. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at this, personal... I'm doing the best I can, Icarus.
I forgive you.
Thank you. I'm gonna go find Tamris now and let them know as well. If you need anything, I'll send Tamris up to talk to you.
Okay.
They are way better at this.
Don't feel bad. I'm really bad at it too.
All right, and I'll just slink out of the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm talking, I'm making my exit stage left to
You can't wait.
to go find Tamrisk.
I don't believe that they're hard to find.
No, they would have gone looking for the captain after setting everything up in the icons.
So I turn a corner and almost run into Tamrisk.
Captain? Something happened in the chapel. Something knocked over all of the icons in a perfect semicircle. And I do mean perfect.
I knew there was somebody on the ship.
What?
Or something. But it's just it's a gut feeling. But what I came to tell you is that we are going to reboot the ship and we'll need you to put on a suit just in case life support stays down longer than the 1 second that Fida said it's going to stay down. One more piece of information. Don't panic. We've been out for more than just a little cat nap.
Oh?
Tomorrow is the Holy Day Settlement Day of the Dancer segment.
But...
I know.
That should be 2 weeks away.
It is not, and we are hoping to get more information once the ship is rebooted. Icarus is having a little problem dealing with the situation that we've been asleep for so long, which is natural. You may want to touch base with them.
Icarus having anxiety about a situation they have no control over, you don't say.
Yes.
Oh dear. Well, that is certainly information. That is information, yes.
But I did want to let you know, I am going to thank you for the information about the temple and the icons. Hopefully once we reboot, it gives us some more information. Storyteller, do we have cameras on the ship? Anything like recording devices?
Conveniently, no.
Oh, shocking. I'm going to go back to engineering and help Fida and Kaina reboot the ship.
So this is essentially a wits technology roll.
Sure.
And so the two of you can collectively work on this task together. You need to acquire 3 successes.
Between us?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. That's 2.
How many successes did we need?
3?
Oh, good. I got one.
Oh, good. So you all go through a process. You suit up as needed. You power the ship down, which is anxiety-inducing a little bit. Well, not enough to raise you more mental stress points. You all have a firm 2 at this point. But the ship comes back up pretty quickly thereafter. Takes about 2 minutes to do the reboot cycle. You do go weightless for a little while. The boots help with that. Once the reactor properly realigns and starts back up, the gravitational field eventually gets back in. You sort of go through this semi-weightlessness portion while it gets back in line. And so it feels like you're bouncing around a little bit, and then you finally feel it really start to take hold. Pretty shortly thereafter, your instrumentation systems, electrical, etc., seem to reboot in a staggered order, with priority systems first, engines, sensors, etc., and then some of the more secondary and tertiary systems after that. Rakam's interface comes back online, and you can hear him humming some sort of tune when he first sort of boots back up. That's what gets output through the intercom speakers. It's a bit of a jazzy number.
Rakam? Are you?
Yes, Icarus.
I mean, if it wasn't you, I'd be really, really worried. What happened?
When?
It's been 14 days. We just had to reboot.
Oh, yes. You were in cryostasis.
Yeah.
I was unable to reach you. Any of you. It was a really strange event. Imagine covering your eyes, but not your ears, but covering your mouth. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't speak to you, but I could hear a strange sort of buzzing sound. And it went on for a good long while.
Buzzing. Okay.
And then eventually I must have powered down? I don't really know.
Glad to hear your voice, and I was scared when you weren't there when I woke up. So I'm glad that you're here.
Mm.
Okay. That's good.
Menkar.
Yeah.
That's where we were going.
Yeah.
Would you like to plot a navigation route?
Yeah, we should do that. I also want to check in with the rest of the crew. Comms weren't working before. Is anyone else on the bridge with Icarus right now?
I think you're the only one at the moment besides Tamarisk.
Okay. She glances over at Tamarisk and hits the intercom button and says, "Everybody hear us?" Yeah, okay. Not that you could really respond, but yeah, okay. Everything looks good up here.
You hear the voice of Rakam come forward on the bridge. There's a pending message.
Okay.
It's going to take me some time to process.
It's big?
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, the portal station communication it's not very current. I should be able to continue to process as we make our way to Menkar.
What kind of file is it?
It's audiovisual.
I would like to see that before we get to the planet, if we can do that.
It will take some time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Just you get horror stories about messages. I'm glad that you're okay. I'm just going to sit here and breathe for a minute. And she puts her lighter away and takes a minute to take some deep breaths.
Breathing does seem like an excellent choice. After the ship comes back online, Captain, are you headed back to the bridge?
I am. And then as soon as I walk into the bridge, say, Rakam?
Yes, Captain.
What's our current position?
We are about 1.5 inside the portal station. We've drifted a little, but that seems to have been accounted for based off the crew not waking. It looks like the travel did not take the estimated time it was supposed to.
I'm feeling that. I mean, I understand, because it should have been a lot less than 2 weeks.
I tend to agree. There is a message coming in, but it's taking some time to download.
So how long until we reach Menkar?
Oh, we are not currently on any plotted course, as Icarus has asked the message to be downloaded before we make any navigational changes.
I'll plot a course. I just would really like to know what that message is before we get to Menkar.
Well, we don't have to go down onto the planet until we know what the message is. Is that a good compromise?
Yeah, that makes me feel better.
Okay. Navigationally speaking, this is, with your skill level, Icarus is sort of something that we can just hand wave. You're not trying anything, we'll just say inventive or adventurous. You're just trying to get to the planet. It's about 3 AG away, so you got 2.9 to move, give or take. It'll take you probably 2 to 3 days to get to Menkar, unless the group wants to use its group talent and have that time, which it could do.
She relays that to the captain that they could mosey at a 3-day rate, or they could get there faster.
I think we need to take some time to evaluate our systems and ensure there's nothing else going on here. And internally, I'm breathing a sigh of relief that we weren't tossed completely somewhere else, far, far away. Because I wasn't sure if we actually landed on the other side of the portal to Menkar.
Well, and as someone who's got a past riddled with smuggling, portal mishaps happen. And that's why there are portal stations. Generally, they're supposed to get you where you need to be. But for now, we'll put you on a course towards Menkar, now in system, as the crew gets to wonder what did happen during those 14 missing days. And we want to thank you for joining us for this episode. I'm certain we'll get some answers and probably a boatload more questions next time. Thank you and good night.